This edition of The Advance. I hope you had a nice weekend. I'm Michael Quinn Sullivan, sitting here with Brandon Waltons, who voted early. You have voted. All right. All right. So early voting away continues through the week, Friday. Yeah. And then, of course, primary election day is next Tuesday. We'll talk more about that next week. But Brandon, I know you're super giddy because the 8-day reports are due. They're going to get some more financial information.
Yeah, we're going to get some more reports today, and we'll see if there's anything interesting or noteworthy from those. But it's crazy to think we were 8 days away now, just a little over a week from actually having some results in these primary elections.
Yeah, I think these, there's that point like in the fall where it seems like it's so far away and you don't have to worry about it, and then suddenly here we are 8 days out. Well, let me ask you, what are you looking for in those 8-day reports?
Well, we're going to continue to see what we've been reporting on through the last few reports, which is what exactly is the casino lobby doing in Texas, right? We've seen where they've spent in some very specific races up until now. Have they continued that spending? We've gotten little bits and pieces even without those reports, just from being able to look at, the Texas Defense PAC, for example, a group that is wholly funded by the casinos, is essentially, have bought TV advertising in certain markets, and there's ways to see that before the reports even come out. So we do know where they've been paying their attention. Ken King, a state representative who's the chairman of state affairs, they've come in with a big ad blitz there trying to
like $250,000 in Amarillo and Lubbock, which means you're probably not turning on your television without seeing one of their ads.
Exactly. The money goes pretty far there for advertising, and they're putting in a lot of money there. And so that's one example of where they're putting their money. They've already endorsed against some incumbent members of the legislature. Question is, are they going to put a lot of money into trying to persuade voters to vote against them, people who are against casino expansion in Texas? So I think that's going to be one of the big items that we look at.
Yeah. Okay. Coming up on today's website, Robert Montoya has a fascinating article looking at there was the story back in the fall of a activist in Hood County who was arrested for a political meme that he posted. And what's now coming out, and what Robert Montoya's reporting has today, is that there was this behind-the-scenes activity leading up to that arrest, where a board member of the nonprofit organization that the meme poster, Colton, whose last name suddenly escapes me,
Yes.
but he runs this nonprofit organization focusing on mental health issues for veterans, and the nonprofit owns some land. And that there was an effort to get the nonprofit to make some changes ostensibly so that this land could be given over to a very unpopular data project going on there in Hood County, which is raising some new questions about that arrest and who was involved. And because part of the intrigue that Robert's story uncovers is that kind of during that period where he was arrested, but the charges hadn't yet been dismissed, but there was an active push to get him kicked off the board, with the bookkeeper who's kind of revealing all this information being dragged into, threatened in some ways with kind of a ham-handed fist, all to get him off the board so that this property could be taken advantage. So it absolutely wild story. You want to check out Robert Montoya today. Here probably about an hour and a half from now. That article will go live at Texas Scorecard.
No, that's interesting too, because these two stories have played sort of parallel to each other. We've known about this big fight in Hood County against data centers, right? And then, of course, we had the story that I think swept the state, people paying attention to this arrest over a meme, essentially, a political meme. And it's interesting to see in sort of a small town like Granbury, like Hood County, those two stories might actually be connected after all.
Yeah, and in fact, not just a coincidence, but maybe a design. So anyway, you can check out that article today at Texas Scorecard.
Yes, another big story that we're reporting on today is the Texas House rules that were passed just over a year ago when the legislature started their session last year are going to really be put to the test now, as you have a Democrat vice chair essentially requesting, for the first time that we've really seen this put into use, formally requesting a hearing of his committee. You might remember the Texas House rules last session made it so that every chair would be a Republican, but every vice chair would be a Democrat. And as part of those rules, there was some language in there, ostensibly put in there to maybe assuage some of the concerns of Democrats so that they would go along and vote for it, that said that they could essentially compel hearings to take place if they called for it. We haven't seen this formally take place. Now you have State Representative Ray Lopez, a San Antonio Democrat, formally requesting a hearing on the killing of somebody by a federal immigration officer that happened last year, but wants to have a hearing on that. And this is going to be interesting to see whether or not that hearing is actually granted. We've not actually seen these rules used yet. We haven't seen Speaker Dustin Burrows or Chairman Cole Hefner say whether or not they believe they read the rules to actually act that way. But if they do, I mean, this certainly would validate a lot of the concerns that lawmakers who voted against the rules package at the time shared, this criticism that they were concerned that this would empower Democrats to do exactly this.
Now, on the other hand, if Hefner and Burrows and the parliamentarians say, no, that's not what the rules mean, the Democrats will learn that maybe they were conned a little bit.
So because it's a rock and a hard place, maybe.
Yeah, because the rules still, though, require that committee hearings to be called by the committee chair. The vice chair can't call a hearing. And so, the question is going to be, what does it mean in the rules for the vice chair to compel a committee hearing? That's a question that we don't know the answer to, and maybe he decides to hold the hearing in the middle of the night sometime in November or something. Who knows? But it'll be fascinating to watch that unravel. The last kind of local story that we're covering, that again is very easy, I think, for all of us here. Well, that's not happening where I live, so I don't need to worry about it. But there's a Barbers Hill ISD, small school district, that has some big financial questions lingering over it, where the school district have taken those tax dollars and shoved them into a nonprofit foundation, the Barbers Hill Education Foundation, I think it's called. And there's a lot of questions around the management of that money, what's happening to that money. A very small percentage of it is being used for the benefit of the students of Barbers Hill ISD. And again, you're thinking, oh, well, I don't live in Barbers Hill ISD. I don't pay taxes in Barbers Hill ISD. Why don't I care? Well, it's because a lot of school districts have these foundations, and that the superintendent, who's also the executive director of the foundation, apparently made a comment that, well, the state can't get the money when it's in the foundation, for purposes of Robin Hood redistribution, all those kind of things. So it's kind of, they're treating it like a slush fund, allegedly. That's the allegation. And so if other school districts see that Barbers Hill can do it, maybe they could be more aggressive in using theirs the same way. But again, in Barbers Hill ISD, that cash is not being used for the education of children. It's being used to build little fiefdoms and other things, allegedly. So these are the kind of questions that when we see things happening in various parts of the state. Those are good questions for us to ask where we live. And that's why we cover these things, is so that all of us as citizens can be better informed, better engaged, and ask better questions, demand better answers. And this story out of Barbers Hill ISD is one I would strongly suggest you take a look at TexasScorecard.com and see what's been going on there, so you can maybe ask your school board members a couple extra probing questions.
I suspect some school board members are going to be receiving some questions here shortly.
That's right. All right. So Brandon, early voting currently underway, going through Friday.
Yeah.
And then Election Day is next Tuesday.
Tuesday, March 3rd.
Yeah. So fortunately for you, on Monday, March 2nd, we will be back here with the advance.